Uh, it's been a weekend. I actually wound up in the doctor's office. So when I made that road trip 2 weeks ago and I got sick in the hotel and I was telling people that it sucks, and I actually made videos about how to be prepared for getting sick in a hotel. And apparently I should have gone to the doctor then because it got worse. I wound up in the doctor's the week after, which kind of sucked. In any case, I'm still here. I feel like dog shit though, I gotta tell you. Hey Teresa, how are you? Um, I have a theory, guys, about. I've been thinking about this whole lawless thing. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Hey Loretta, is it mentally insane to anyone that. Hey Scott, thank you, Teresa. Is it insane to anyone else that we have a police department that basically said, well, we're not really going to answer many calls between 3 and 7. Now, supposedly, hey, KP Heathen, they did an analysis in Pittsburgh and found that most of the actual crimes and calls are not during those times. So they're like, this is what we're doing to save money. NYPD got depleted. So they had what? They lost, they were a 30,000 man police force. They lost about 2,500 to 3,000 officers. So they lost 10% of their force. That's huge. If a company loses 10% of its people, it gets screwed up. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, so it doesn't make sense. Like if I were a mayor, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. And that's why we're seeing some Democrat mayors getting really angry at the president because they're like, hey, prepping with pugs. Yeah, my corgis were not. They were being interesting today, and Bentley he wound up busted, and he ran himself into his kennel. Like before Sassy could give him a swat on his little potato, but he was like, nope, I'm in trouble. Boom. They know when they're in trouble, by the way. Dogs are not stupid. Like you change your tone, and they're like, I screwed up. Bye. Peace out. And he goes to his bed. But if I were a mayor, a Democrat or Republican, hey, Holly, I would be thinking, my constituents, these people in this community, whatever color they are, whatever religion they are, they elected me to do things for them. And regardless of whether I get a construction contract from my buddy or not, at the end of the day, I don't stay in office if I don't take care of my people, right? That's the whole concept of a constitutional republic. So now we're not like an aristocracy, although it feels like that sometimes. And the mayors are pissed. The mayors are like, this is out of control. We don't know what to do. And hey, random, no mayor in their right mind wants crime to be out of control, right? It just doesn't make sense. We have New York City lost what, 7 to 10% of its force over the last couple of years, which is significant because a lot of it was the experienced cops, the guys that were getting to retirement, who in the past would be, oh, I'll stay on a couple of more years to train the young guys. They're like, no, peace out, bye bitches, and they're gone. Excuse my language. You have Pittsburgh saying, hey, we just don't have enough capacity, we don't have funding, and we want to have the coverage for the high crime times, and our statistics say this, so this is what we're going with. Which, to be fair to the chief, if he's running out of money, it's the best choice he has, right? And then this other town in St. Louis, basically all the cops resigned. They're like, we're done, and they went to another jurisdiction. We're getting a bunch of cops from the Northeast are coming to Texas if they have the right credentials to be cops here. Now, the thing that scares the crap out of them is you can open carry in Texas, and that's not allowed in New York City. So the cops are like, and the Texas cops are like, no, that's legal here. That's allowed as long as they're not actually committing a crime. So, it has to be an adjustment for those cops. But what is the end game? Like, what is the goal here? Because if the goal is to get reelected, you're doing a shit job. I mean, Democrat or Republican, if people are getting raped and murdered in your city, it's going to get blamed on the mayor. It's going to get blamed on the DA, the police chief. So how do you think you're going to get reelected? That, hey, Niels, that doesn't make sense. Like, what I'm witnessing, is it me or it seems contrary? Hey, Dan, hey, Jason. It seems contrary to common sense in every respect. And I had a theory. I was actually talking with Hayes Gray Prepper. And when I came up with this theory, we were just throwing numbers and ideas around, and it freaked myself out after it came out of my mouth. These people are not in their right mind. No, the corruption is so severe, people in every position are just throwing up their hands. Well, right, and even the good, and to be fair, I know a lot of Democrats who are like, no, this sucks. We're not a fan of this. You know, we want certain things to be done for the fairness in society. But yeah, rape, not cool. No, violence, not cool. So they're on the same page as us. So how did the wheels fall off? And what popped in my mind while I was talking to Hayes Gray, I was talking to some of the veterans guys out here, kind of freaked me out when I said it. I think I ruined the mood of the table for 20 minutes with that one. Was basically, so they've defunded the police. Now, the original intent was to demilitarize the police, right? So they weren't running around like shock troopers. Okay, fair enough. You want cops, not soldiers. But yeah, exactly, Neil. You try to be the change and you try to speak out for it. But so they defunded all these cops. So a lot of departments in these cities on the coasts are just struggling, right? They want to take our firearms and our right to self-defense. I mean, there was someone beat someone with a bat, broke into the house in New York and freaked the guy out, right? So the guy, all he had was like his stickball bat, and he went to work on this other guy and he beat his ass. And then they almost charged the apartment owner for assault. He's like, he's in my house in the dark. How do I know he's not going to rape me? You know, how he's going to rape my daughter or kill my dog? We don't know. Hey, Pilgrim. So we've defunded, not just demilitarized the police, we've defunded the police to the point where they're not functional anymore. No guns allowed for me. Don't stop me. Yeah, no kidding. See, that sucks, Niels. Then, at the same time, we're not enforcing quality of life laws. We're telling people it's okay to steal just under $1,000. Now, you go to Walmart and steal $1,000 of shit, Walmart will keep working, right? But if you go to someone's private boutique, like, you know, Mrs. Jones' boutique, and she's using her retirement money to have this little boutique or an ice cream store or whatever, and you steal $1,000 of her shit, and that happens 2 or 3 times, she's going to close the store. They'll go bankrupt. This is absolutely killing blue-collar businesses. So you're destroying businesses. You've defunded the police to where they're not effective. Hey, Coffee. Hey, Elusive. We're not enforcing quality of life laws, and it's encouraging people to act badly. Hey, Vision. And honestly, it looks like somebody's trying to set the stage. So what was New York State's solution? Not let's put National Guard on the border. No, we're going to put National Guard in New York to monitor the American people. And now supposedly the Supreme Court refused to hear a verdict that says, well, the Second Amendment applies to anyone in the country, including illegals. Which, again, that's conjecture. I haven't read all of it, so that may be stupid. But so you've encouraged illegal immigration, but we're not vetting the immigrants, so we're getting criminals and gang members. We've defunded the police to where they're not effective. We're trying to take people's guns so they can't protect themselves, and then we're not punishing crime. It's almost as if they want to create a situation that's so bad that it justifies bringing in the military into our streets like a third world dictatorship. I mean, am I the only one seeing this? Am I wrong? Type 1 if you see what I'm seeing. Am I losing my mind? Because honestly, and then here's the bigger question is, well, American National Guardsmen are not going to shoot their neighbors, right? And they even took a poll of enlisted men, and like 80% of the enlisted personnel will not fire on American citizens unless they're fired at. And 75% of the officers, who are, bougie college guys, some of them, but said the same thing. They're like, if it's not a lawful order, unless we're in danger, we're not going to fire on soldiers or on the civilians unless it's extreme, right? Looting and rape and whatnot, which has happened, in riots. So they're like, well, so if they made the situation so bad that they want to put soldiers in the streets, but our soldiers will not shoot us unless we're being violent. Hey, Jason. So, hey, Suzanne again. Hold on. I missed someone popped in on me and I missed it. It went blowing by. So, who are they going to put in our streets? And then I thought, they've already brought them in. They're going to put blue hard hats in our street. But they may not be blue hard hats because we would decimate them. I made Cole take a nap. I'm sure Cole was thrilled. Did he complain? Because mine get vocal. I tell them to go to bed and they go, and they'd like do this mouth fart, like they chuff at me, but without showing teeth, because they'll get a smack for that. Thank you, Coffee. But think about that. So you've created excessive crime. You've made the police ineffective. You're not enforcing the laws. You're trying to take our way of defending ourselves. Hey, Irishman. And it's like, it's getting so bad that everyone's going to be forced to put the military in the streets. But the National Guard is not going to shoot the American citizens. They live here, right? The Texas National Guard's not going to shoot other Texans. So option one, they take Texas and put those guys in Brooklyn, put the Brooklyn National Guard in Texas. You know what I mean? Mix up the guards. But the governors will squash that. They'll be like, no, screw you. So what's the other option? And it's what the squad said. When they said we need to bring the UN in to protect our democracy, I thought they were just full of it. I thought they were stupid. And now it's like we have National Guard in the subways. And the governor of New York said, well, if you don't want the soldiers going through your bags, don't take the subway. No, how about you arrest the assholes so the people who work can go to work? And then that gave me the heebie-jeebies because I'm like, holy shit, who are they going to bring in? Now, Britain and France have the same problem. Like the French farmers are spraying shit on the parliament, literally spraying caca with a truck on buildings, right? The Germans are now doing the same thing, right? So who are they going to bring in? They're going to bring in people from countries that don't share our religious values or moral values. It's not going to be British troops here. It's not going to be the Australians or the Canadians or the French. They've got their own problems. They're all in the same boat. So who are they going to send there? And the one common denominator, and Hudson, of all of these nations is that we have these massive groups of unvetted individuals in our countries. So, I mean, who are you going to put here? The blue helmets? Maybe green helmets? I don't know if there are green helmets somewhere. This really bothers me because it makes no sense. The biggest and best trained police department in the world, which is NYPD, has now become so ineffective by the acts of the governor. Even the mayor's pissed, but the governor's overruling that they needed the National Guard to go in the subways. So what's the end game here? And honestly, while we were talking over that table the other day, the end game to us was put the military in the streets, but it won't be our military, because our military will, there'll be a point they'll be like, no, we're not doing this, screw you. And it's funny because we actually watched Amerigeddon. If you hadn't watched it, it's a B movie, okay? The acting is awful, but the premise is good. Hey, Gary, the premise is actually pretty good. It's just they could have done so much more with the concept. Well, Hudson, that's the point. Because think about it. Let's say, think of Ping Pong Crew. Yeah, it might be the Ping Pong Crew. Okay, think of Red Dawn, right? The old movie or the new movie, whichever one. Who was the only defense left when the paratroopers came in? Was the local sheriff, the deputies, and the hunters and the Second Amendment folks, right? Because the army wasn't mobilized, right? Because it was a sneak attack. And it's kind of horrifying. It's really horrifying. If you take away the power of the police, whether you love the cops or hate them, they're technically supposed to protect the community. They'd be the only, if like paratroopers fell on West Texas right now, well, first of all, they'd have a horrendous time because there's so many Afghan war vets out here. It's not even funny. But I mean, guys with multiple deployments, but yeah. One of them actually said, let them come to leave their desert and we'll kill them in ours, which I thought was an awesome phrase. I should make a t-shirt out of that shit. And I got a buddy who's actually Afghani. He was a translator, and he's so Second Amendment now. And he's like, no, because the Taliban, they can, go to hell. And I bet he'd help me figure out how to write it in Arabic on my back and English on the front. That would be cool. That would get me shot. That'd be the first guy they'd come after. They'd be like, that guy's an asshole. Look at his shirt. But yeah, so, but that's the premise. If you take the police out of the game where they can't enforce laws, you don't enforce them when people get arrested anyway. You take away our guns and you encourage the criminals by not doing what you're supposed to do to them. You're setting up a scenario where we're going to lose control of our municipalities. And the solution will be to bring the military in. I saw a YouTube video of a woman in China under the credit system and how she's been cut off from buying anything or going anywhere because they deleted her credits. Well, yeah, and that's like a whole nother level of you're not compliant, and then you could go down the mark of the beast trail. And I'm not a super churchy guy, but that mark of the beast scriptures, ooh, yeah, that freaks me up. Gina, my husband went active army at 17, stayed over 20 years, retired out last year. Several others decided they were just done with the military after years. It's kind of sad. And what's sad is, even my sons see it. He's like, and I've met his buddies. And, when we had the National Guard at the border who wasn't obeying the president, he's like, the regular army might have to go and like tell them, go away. And I'm like, so you guys would run off the Texas National Guard for enforcing the law that the president failed to enforce? Is that even a lawful order? And he looks at me and goes, holy shit, I never thought of it like that. I'm like, exactly. But yeah, who would they put in the streets? And that was my theory, guys, is honest to God, it looks like they're trying to make all our cities, our communities, such shit shows. Hey, Camo, that they'll force the military into the streets. The only option, if it's not the National Guard, means the federal military, which means its posse comitatus will be violated. And then how will that play out? I don't know. So 2 businesses got rubbed at gunpoint prepping with pugs this weekend in Livingston Manor. Cheese. Hey, Daryl. Gina, it's a big mess. Everyone worth a darn. I know. Now, I will say there's hope with the immigrants. So recently there was he wasn't from Nigeria. He was African guy. the Congo. It was was sub-Saharan Africa, and this gentleman, he was walking out of the immigration center, but he had a sports coat and like a pullover under the sports coat, and he had jeans and little shoes. He actually looked like a guy working in an office, and the reporter stops him and says, "Hey, can I interview you?" He said, he had an accent, but he said, "Yes, sure." He said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from wherever, the Congo or Nigeria." And he goes, "So did you immigrate here?" And he said, "Yes." He said, I came through Mexico. And then he said, when I got to the border checkpoint, I turned myself in and said I would like asylum. And then they processed me and they moved me to a few different places. And I just got my work visa." And he says, "Oh, so you're planning to work?" He says, "Absolutely. So I've already called a lawyer to help me with my paperwork. And then I'd like to get a job so I can pay my taxes, because you have to pay taxes everywhere. So I may as well. And then I would like to buy a house, because I can't buy a house in my country. And then I'll have to find a wife if I can move my sister out." Like, this guy had it planned out. And I'm sitting here going, this dude wants to be a professional. Good for him. Hell yeah. Hey, Love and Life. That's the guy we want. Hey, Joe. No, Angolans or whatever country, not Mexicans. Actually, the Mexicans are finding this funny because there's a Venezuelan on another platform who said that Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and Cubans are being racist to the new immigrants. The first reply was from a Mexican who said, "Vete a la chingada, you don't belong here unless you're paying taxes, cabrón." And the whole conversation just went downhill from there. And I'm reading all the comments, which were mainly from Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, which was priceless. And I'm sitting here going, did this Venezuelan guy just like troll the whole country? Because I watched a few more of this guy's videos, and some of them are just silly. So I think he's just being a shit on purpose to piss people off. Hey, Rebecca. The top chat is for the confused. But going back to the guy from wherever, Senegal or Nigeria, wherever he was from in Africa, he was clean shaven, his beard was trimmed, and they said, "Well, what do you do?" He says, "Well, I have to finish my education, but I read and write and I know math. And then, yeah, I have a lawyer who will help me with my paperwork. And then I would like to buy a house, and I will need employment. And because I have to pay my taxes, my house taxes," he called it. His English was a little off. "I have to pay my house taxes." And I'm looking at my wife, and I'm looking at this guy in the TV, and I'm like, I like this dude. Like, I would hire him at my company and be like, "You know what, dude, we're gonna put you in sales somewhere, and here's your catalog. Go and learn about it." And I mean, dude, if you're motivated, you're clean cut, dressed. And they asked him, well, because all the other people are all in hoodies and shit. And they asked him, "You dressed up really nice." He said, "I had to go before a judge. You don't dress like a pig. You dress nice." Oh no, Joe, I'm sorry to hear that, bud. It's no bueno. But yeah, that's my theory, guys. I honestly believe they're trying to make it so bad that either they're going to put the military in the streets or they're going to postpone an election, because nothing, hey Shannon, nothing these governors are doing makes any sense. Regardless of what party you're on, you will get voted out of office in theory. Even if I was the fact that the Democratic mayor of New York is like, "Yeah, this sucks. This is out of control." The mayor of New Orleans has been saying it for months now. They're like, "Yeah, this is stupid. What are we doing here?" But the leaders way up on top are still pushing it. You know why? Because they don't have to deal with the consequences. Hey, Food Forest. Rocket stove and 2 milking goats for butter, cheese and milk. Yeah, Food Forest has a plan. I'm out. I'm gone. Yardbirds, what's up? So, hey, there's Daryl again. That's the theory, guys. And I may be wrong. But it makes no sense. You've taken some of the best police departments in the world and made them ineffective to where the cops are like, "I'm not doing anything, screw it. I'll wait till it happens, and then I'll process the scene." And then what? We're not enforcing the laws. We want to take Americans' guns, but they want to make people who came here illegally, who have not necessarily been vetted, and give them positions of authority in our election boards. It just makes zero sense. There's something phenomenally wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just, another conspiracy down the window, but that's my opinion. Unless they're trying to make it so unstable in an election year that things have to get canceled. That's the other outcome. And I don't know which one it is. I could be wrong on both counts, guys. I really don't know. But yeah, that was interesting to have a conversation about. So, folks, I would get to know your local sheriff. I'd get to know your local fire department. Could be both. Vision's absolutely right. It could be both. Get to know your local fire department. Get to know your local EMTs. Get to know, if you're a veteran, meet your veterans groups locally. Even if you don't form a MAG per se, it doesn't mean you can't form a camping group and then you guys go out to the park and barbecue in the park and talk. Remember, the Marine Corps was formed by a bunch of drunk guys in a bar, right? Like, some of the best things that came out happened in a bar or on a picnic, or they were eating, and they're like, you know what? This sucks, and we're going to change it. And then movements have occurred like that. But yeah. Yes, we got to do part 2, Vision, for sure. My sheriff is useless. But the unknown... So the unknown, you can also get to know your fire department and your EMTs. You can also check and see if you have a local CERT, C-E-R-T, Civilian Emergency Response Team. That kind of is like the modern version of civil defense. Even if it's not a big group, they give out so much training. I mean, you have access to training, you get access to notifications, and that might actually not be a bad thing, because, you know, if something pops off, I know the local sheriff and the guy running against him. I know both of them. I know a lot of the organizations in town, and I've actually been invited to be on a board of one of the professional organizations here, which is pretty cool. But having those contacts, you know, I know companies who will, like, hey, there's an emergency, call company so-and-so, and they can provide a 10 kilowatt generator to a building so, you know, emergency operations can occur. And you get the companies and the responders and the community all working together. You got some horsepower there. Get to know the folks around you. Get to know the city. Go to the city council meetings. Make friends with the city council person if there's one you can stand that doesn't, like, make you nauseous. Hell, get to know the restaurant owners in your area. Because think about it, during Hurricane Harvey, we had nothing to do. We got to make friends with the owner of the bar down the street. The teenagers took over the patio, and we basically gave them unlimited Coca-Cola and pretzels. And the adults went and drank because nobody could drive anywhere anyway. But, you know, instant networking. That's a completely underrated skill. But you folks, think about that one. Get to know your local officials. Get to know your local responders, your sheriff, your fire department, your EMTs. See if there's a emergency action council or emergency response council in your city government. See if there's a way a civilian can be part of that. I'd rather be involved, even if it costs me time, and be in the know than... Okay, Dawn. Yeah, Dawn, exactly. I'd rather at least have a hint of what's going on than be completely in the dark. Because before Harvey made landfall, I already knew that the water could be up to 54 inches. The news was saying it would be 10 to 12. I knew otherwise because we were already talking in the background. I called my brother, who was in the Navy. He called the Navy meteorologist. He called me back. I called the fire department guy who was in my guard unit, who had talked to his chief. We already knew in the background, all the responders, we were already taking action in the background. And by the way, if you ever see your local cops and firefighters all at the convenience store throwing bottles of water by the case in their trunks, some shit's popped off. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with that one. That was mean. Now it's stuck. What? Who are the people in your neighborhood? Oh, God, that song. Now it's stuck in my head, too. Shit. Usually get the SWAT team called at me for traffic stop. Well, Joe, you know what, though? That reputation could come in handy because you can also go to the cops and say, hey, look, in light of the larger situation at hand, I'll let you know if something you need to know about. How about that? And you just let me be in peace in my apartment. And they might appreciate having a friend on the other side of the fence, you know? You never know. It depends on the cops. Some cops get it and some don't. It depends on if they ran with a gang once upon a time. But anyway, folks, you guys be safe out there. Tonight is Tuesday, so Vision's going on. Hudson's been on and off on Tuesdays. I'm not sure if he's going on. And is the Angry Prepper on late tonight or Prepper Now? There are a few people. Joe is CI. That'll be the... Yeah, no kidding. Joe wouldn't do that. Joe would actually be sitting there egging on the mischief. He'd be like, "Go! The cop's too fat. He can't catch you," you know. But anyway, look, you guys be good. Yeah, I don't cooperate with cops ever. So, hey, New York Prepper is. Okay, NY Prepper. Thank you, Suzanne. But yeah, there's a bunch of channels going on tonight. I won't be. This will be my live. It's early, but it's been a week. So I'm still recovering from what I did to myself last week, because that was... By the way, if you get sick and you're on the road, take care of yourself. Don't wait a week and then wind up in the doctor's office because you screwed yourselves up. Cops love weenie tattoo. And on that note, all right, guys, you guys be good, be safe out there, and pay attention. Get to know what's going on around you. It doesn't hurt to be in the know. But you guys take care of yourself.